name is Sean Armstrong. Today, I'm going to teach you how to clean a rifle quickly, without special tools. And for you purists with your carburetor cleaners, your solvents, and all that crap, this is going to freak you out. But it works. And this was shown to me by a master gunsmith. Today, I'll be cleaning my R25 .308 caliber hunting rifle. Just so you know, intentionally, I haven't cleaned this since last hunting season. I left it sitting out. At one point, there was even rust on the barrel. And I did that on purpose. I'm going to show you how clean you can get a rifle using this method. What you're going to need, first, a steel cookie sheet to hold the small parts. Bottle of Simple Green. Yes, folks, you heard me. Simple Green. See that? Simple Green. Tub of warm water. This is actually pretty hot. Probably be warm by the time I get around to it. A toothbrush. Doesn't have to be, one of those, from your cleaning kit. It could be just a regular toothbrush. Use firm bristles though. Newspapers. I don't use paper towels. I'll recycle newspapers. Rods. And I always have a couple brushes standing by just in case. Patches. I get the 200 bulk. I cut them to size. A tip to hold the patches, which is right here. Let's see. Methods of drying the parts. First, I have the hair dryer. This works. Just a regular hair dryer. Pick it up at Walmart. A heat gun, which is what I use. It has two settings, low and high. It's the kind you use to take paint off. You can put it in an oven at 120 degrees. Only put the metal parts in, and I wouldn't say this. People hadn't done it the other way. A toaster oven, as you see here, which is where this tray came from. Again, 120 degrees, only the metal parts. Some other things you might need: gunsmith screwdriver set. You can pick this up at Walmart's made by Winchester, very inexpensive. For disassembly, a good punch set. Good punch set. You can get a Wheeler online for I think I paid like $70 for this. Brass, so it doesn't mar up the metal pieces. Some oil. I make my own, but the best I found for viscosity and the fact it has Teflon in it is break free. I know they issue break free in the military as a solvent. It's not, it's a lubricant. A bench block. You might need a bench block. Now, I make my own bench blocks. Get yourself some of those hockey pucks. They come in a big bag. I got tons of them laying around here. Drill some holes in it to catch pins. Instead of squirting the oil on the parts, I use one of these brushes to apply it, so I don't over apply the oil, so it doesn't attract as much dust. Another important thing to have for inspecting parts: magnifying glass. If you see something that looks marred or whatever, inspect it. If you're more in tune with gunsmithing, you might want to get some calipers. If there's some wear on a firing pin or something, and you want to check its head spacing or timing, get yourself some calipers. Now, the reason I make my own oil. My oil has a very high viscosity. It's very thick. It has a heat conditioner in it. If it's too hot, it'll still fire. If it's too cold, it'll still fire. It won't break down over prolonged use. It also has Teflon. Just like break free, it has Teflon in it. Prolonged use of Teflon on metal parts, it will fill in the pores and make the parts slicker. Now, before I get into cleaning it, and I'm not going to tear this down for you. Every firearm tears down differently. This tears down just like an AR-15. I want to talk to you, how often should you clean your weapon or your firearm? Every time you shoot it. And I've heard people, well, you can put 900 rounds every time you shoot it because certain powders are corrosive. All powders are corrosive to a certain extent. If you don't shoot, let's say you clean it, you put it up every 90 days because oil collects dust. Dust, guess what dust is? Dust is dead skin cells. Dead skin cells are filled with acid, a type of acid and oil. It's corrosive to metal parts. And anytime you're bored, feel free to take a firearm, tear it down, give it a good cleaning, put it back. Now, why I use Simple Green? Simple Green is not caustic. It doesn't hurt your skin. It's not bad for the environment. It won't damage composite parts. Like this stock here is plastic. Everything else is metal. This is aluminum. Aircraft aluminum. It's metal. It's biodegradable. It will break down. It breaks down oil really well. It cleans off the parts really well. It smells good. It smells better than solvents. I've seen people use carburetor cleaner. Carburetor cleaner is caustic to your skin, and vapors are bad for you to breathe. You mix carburetor cleaner with carbon, you have a chance of getting, it'll turn the carbon to gum. Gum up the works. And everyone I've ever seen use carburetor cleaner has had to use one of these. Let me ask you something, and this is coming from the gunsmith side. Does scraping metal off a gun part sound smart to you? Anytime you have to scrape any metal off a part, that's not intelligent. Your system's not working. So we'll be getting rid of this little toothpick here. This is used for, the only time I really use this is something that's like that. I mean, it's nasty. It's really bad. So we'll set that back here. Next time you see me, this will be torn down, ready to be cleaned. And as you can see, I have everything torn down right here in this metal tray. First thing I want to do is get these parts, and I like to spray them down twice, including the buffer spring and all that, buffer assembly. Spray them down with the Simple Green, heavily. I like to do this twice and let it sit for a little bit. And you'll feel, I mean, it's slick because it's pulling the oil out of the oil and all the crap. I like to let it sit. Here's the part where you purists are going to freak out. If you notice, this is the upper receiver, lower receiver. Watch this. This is where you guys are going to just lose your minds. That star chamber down in there. Watch this. Soak the whole chamber down really good. This is probably not the part where you're going to flip out. I have a trash can nearby. Spray it down really good. Wait till you see how I get the Simple Green. I'll just tell you what I'm going to do when I'm going to do it. Same with this. The old Simple Green down in here. And the buffer assembly. I like to let that sit a little bit too. I even do the outside here. Get my notes out of the way here. Not that I need them, but I didn't want to miss anything saying something. I just do this naturally. And this is going to get all the crud off here. Bipod legs, that's all going to get oiled as well. It's a mechanism, should be oiled. Now I let that sit. Now, like I said, I like to do these twice, so I'm going to spray these down again. Let them soak. Again, I like to hit everything twice, so I'm going to hit this again twice. hit this again. Same with this. A little trash can here. Let that sit for a little bit. Now, how do I get the simple green out of these things? Well, here's where you purists are going to freak out. Guess how I get it out? I take it to the shower and run it in hot water. That's how I get the simple green out. So, next time you see me, I'll have taken these to the shower, and then I'll start cleaning the smaller parts. Okay, the one thing I forgot, you should inspect the upper receiver. Lower receiver doesn't get all that much carbon in. You can take it right to the shower and use it. Here, I mean, if it's got buildup in there, which it might, I don't think so. It's looking pretty good. Doesn't smell too much like carbon either. It smells more like simple green. Just scrub it down before you get in there. Inspect that star chamber, because that's also, see the starch? I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but the star chamber in there. If you can see that, it should still be silver if you've used the right oil. This is looking pretty good. Probably could use, well, actually it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to take this to the shower. The optics are going to get clean as well. I'm going to take this to the shower, rinse it all off, and this part will be ready to go, ready to be dried. I like to use hot water when I'm rinsing off these parts. Seems to flush out the simple green and the crud that comes with it. You can use the water a little bit and rinse off the toothbrush. Another important thing to look for, make sure none of this is marked or has any dings in it. This here will change your point of aim, point of impact, and may mean that the barrel needs to be replaced. Could be resurfaced. If it does need resurfacing, take it to a competent gunsmith. Don't do it yourself. I'm back. I just ran this through the shower. Another benefit of running I didn't take his scope off. This scope has gaskets here and here at the ocular and at the where the reticles are. A good way to test to see if the scope is faulty. If one of the gaskets is bad, you run it underwater and it fogs up. So that's what those gaskets are for. Now I'll use newspaper. It's not as absorbent, but it will get the excess water off, and it's recycling. Once you're done, my recommendation is just check the bore sight or bore light on your scope. I didn't take mine off. If you've seen my class on picking the scope, you do take it off. When you take it out to zero, if it's a really good scope, it should still be in at least a half. It should only be off by a half a minute of angle. I've got that wipe down the scope a little bit. This, wipe it. I even washed my little sling here, got a little mud on it. So take that in the shower. You can take that in the shower. Yeah, no dark crap on it, no black stuff on the paper towel or the newspaper. You want to know why? Simple green. Works excellent. Now, how do we finish drying this? This. Hot gun. On these composite parts, put it on low. You can use a hair dryer. Just dry it out. stick it right up into the, just keep it on low though. I'll be honest, I don't like the color on this. I wish it just left it black, and I would color it myself. But I'm not really into doing coatings and stuff. I think it's just cosmetic crap as long as it shoots well. This is good out to 900 yards, so I'm happy with it. Color really doesn't have anything to do with accuracy. Inspect it, and that's what that, why I said you should have a magnifying glass. You can inspect parts. Turn this up to high. Got a little water down in here that needs to be dried. Now this is one part, don't put in the other. It'll melt. Now I'm an armor on these, and you can tear. I mean, I can show you how to tear all this out now. There's so many springs. This is why I think the AR-50, the newer versions are good rifles. This one's a good rifle, very reliable, never had a misfire. But too many things to go wrong. Lots of springs and pins in there. Lots of things to lose too. I saw it when I was taking my armor course. Same with like the XD and the Glock. A lot of things to go wrong there. Polymer, I don't like polymer anyway, but seems to work for this. This one's a little front heavy. Same with this, dry it all off, including the scope, everything. And you see the star chamber, that's all nice and silver now. Back to original. Yeah, it does take long for this to dry. Barrel. We're going to rod here shortly. Optics. Again, this was shown to me by a master gunsmith, so it works. I've never had a bad or a weapon not fired because it was dirty. And it takes, if I wasn't showing you, I could probably do this in half an hour, 20 minutes. Even the bipod, it's clean. This isn't the best bipod. I just picked one up because this is a front heavy weapon. Very heavy in the front. Still recoils like a mule though. It's a .308 caliber. The only thing I don't like, you can't take, if you know the gas tube gets dirty or rusty, you can't take the like an M16A4 or A2, you can't take the handguards off and give that a good cleaning. So that kind of, you know, that's kind of a downside to having it fixed like this, but that's working pretty good right there. I'll be adding a coating of oil to all these parts here shortly. Next I'll be working on the smaller parts. Let me set these aside. You gotta let them cool too, they get a little warm. Hot dry. I'm going to spray these down one more time just so I can give them a good brush. Here's my toothbrush. Find your toothbrush. Here it is. You're just going to kind of give it a good once over. This doesn't look too bad actually for you're sitting for a year. You're going to check it for wear marks. And like I said, keep a magnifying glass just so if you see something that's out of place, you get a good close look at it. This is almost a $3,000 rifle. I definitely want to be inspecting it. There's a wear mark there, but that's normal. As you can see, it's a bigger bolt than your standard 5.56. This is a 7.62 by 51. So 51. Yeah, it's 51. An AK-47 is a 7.62 by 39. Figure that, the size difference in that. That's looking pretty good down in there too. Break free will take this stuff, or simple green will take this stuff right off. Watch this. This is going to freak. See this? This is that tub of warm water I showed you. Watch. I like to let it soak. Again, inspect your parts. Good thing to do while you're doing this. This is the extractor. Try and push in on it. This is where the round sits when it pulls it out. This is what kicks it off. This is the extractor up here. Make sure that's not worn. It has to have a negative hook on it to hold onto the round properly. If you've got some old brass, you can pop it in there. Just make sure it fits properly. Yeah, you can tell it feels like bare metal. There's no oil on it whatsoever. And roll it around a little bit. Firing pin's got a little carbon on it. Now this is one spot right here where I see everybody grabbing the old dental picks. And this is what I was talking about with the calipers, measuring the protrusion. You want to have a certain amount of protrusion to strike the primer. If it's too short, it won't strike it hard enough to set off the round, and you'll get hang fires or this is one of these areas right here where I see the people. This area right here, this is where everybody wants to stick their dental picks. And this firing pin, some of them are made of titanium if you have the civilian model. The military definitely are not titanium. I believe they're aircraft aluminum. Does this sound smart to be taking metal off? Because then you're going to mess up the protrusion. Because this sits in and it has it's a spacer basically, and you start taking metal off it, you're going to screw up the protrusion here. Any dimensions you change in a firearm, you're going to have to change dimensions somewhere else. You can see the size difference in the charging handle from the 5.56 too. Check these for wear here. Here, make sure that it has no, it's not expanded, like lopsided. I wish I had my dry erase board. I just drew a picture of that. This here too. I've seen people take, and I've done it too, just because I didn't know any better. Check this for wear, but I see people, and I'm going to bring this closer. Under the head here. Let me turn this so you can, yeah, it's going to be hard. It's black too. This little head here, you'll see him take that dental pick. Again, this has a certain spacing. It has to be. And we're talking you need a micrometer, but you can screw one of these up. I've seen people try and do trigger jobs on there without proper training and screw up the sear, so it won't catch properly. Next thing you know, you have a full automatic, even when you don't want it, and it becomes illegal. And guess what happens then? You either have to buy a new sear, which anytime you put a new part in with a bunch of old parts, it's not gonna be worn in the same fashion that the other parts are, and the weapon may never fire the same. It'll still fire, it just won't fire the same again. This here is the retaining pin for the firing pin. This you can just get, I mean, this didn't get real too dirty. Just drop it in there. This, just give it a once over, make sure there's no rust on it. I inspect it, make sure there's no, it's not bent. Sometimes springs will bend, and that'll change the spacing, and you won't have the same buffer, or won't have the same effect that the buffer would have. And I've heard people say, well, if you change the buffer to a heavier buffer, this, that, and the other thing, it'll change the rate of fire, it'll do this, it'll do that. Again, anytime you change a part in a firearm, you have to change a whole bunch of other parts. And then the gun may not work as well as it did. Now I let that soak for a little bit, and when I'm done, I'll come back and show you how to finish up. Now, while this is drying, or soaking, I'm going to rob the barrel. Get that all cleaned out. See, I got some pre-cut patches here. Make sure you have the right size. You notice I didn't put a handle on this, and I'm about to show you why. Anything that you do against the original design of the gun can change the way the gun operates, i.e. pulling a patch the wrong way through a barrel. Again, we're talking like thousandths of an inch. Thousands that can screw up. Push it through. Do not pull it back through. Wait till it comes out. Pull it out. Don't pull it back through. And if you notice, I put a little simple green on it. That's just to get any residue that might still be in there. Break it down. Now I'm going to take a dry patch. Send that through. See what comes out. You're going to do this till it's clean. And it gets clean pretty quick with it. See? Very little on that patch. Came off. Pull it out. Look at the patch. Clean. Took all of 2 seconds. Now what I'm going to do, this is the oil I make. Put a little on the patch. Just a little. Make sure it's shaking up good. And then I send this down, just to lubricate the barrel, because it might, I'm going to set it in my gun cabinet. I want the barrel to have some lubrication, keep it from rusting out. There. You don't want to do too much oil. Now, one thing I have to do, get the simple green out of this. Punches. Alright. Clean this off. I'm going to be using this oil the parts. I'm going to add a little oil here. This is where your shaving brush comes in handy. Put a little on there. As you can see, it's very thick. Really thick stuff. Start with the receiver, get her down in there. Give it a good brush. Spread it around. Take a little patch. Get her down in there. Just to spread the oil out. Again, oil will attract dust. Dust is basically dead skin cells. Skin has an acid in it that is corrosive. So you want to clean these about every 90 days. And this is going to get a good, decent coat of oil. Get a little extra on. Take yourself a piece of newspaper. Just wipe it off. Don't get any on your scope because if it has like mine has the parkerized finish, it can damage the finish. Same with this. Put some down in there. And you got a lot on there. Just enough to get a coat of oil on. Again, this has a heat conditioner, it has Teflon, it has... We'll come back, I'm going to show you what to do with these parts. Now we're going to deal with the small parts. If you notice, I took that metal pan and I placed newspapers on it. What that's for is to absorb the water so it doesn't sit in the bottom of the steel cookie sheet and keep the parts wet longer than I want them to. And pull all the parts out, just lay them out there. If you're not familiar on how to tear down your firearm, get the manual and lay everything out in order. How it came out, it's going to go back in reverse order. So, and if you can feel these parts, these are like bare metal, just freakish. And all I used was a biodegradable, cleaner, nothing toxic. As you're doing it, inspect these parts for wear and tear, unusual wear and tear. Again, small pieces, everything. I like to let them sit for a little bit, just to let the water drain off a bit. Always keep newspapers nearby. You don't have to use newspaper towels, shop cloth. Shop cloth, they're not absorbent either. And then I'll show you how to do a functions check on that gun. It's pretty much the same. You're just checking the safety and making sure it's going to fire. That's it. So now you're going to take and I'm going to lay one over here so I can lay the dry parts on it. Because I was using that soon too. Take your parts, wipe them off, keep as much of the water off as possible. If they look like they need more cleaning, go ahead, hit it with some more simple green, give it another cleaning. Again, you shouldn't be using, anything sharp to be gouging metal out of a weapon or a firearm. For you civilians, it's a firearm. For the military guys out there, it's a weapon. I'm not getting any carbon off. Like the simple, this is really inexpensive to do too. Simple green, I buy it in bulk at Walmart. In big jugs, I keep a big jug to go around. It cleans just about anything. From weapons to furniture to floors. But not floors with it. Wish I had a piece of brass to show you how to check the extractor, but I don't. I have live rounds, but never. That's one thing you do not do is clean your weapon with live ammo anywhere near it. You know, parts dried off as best you can. You're going to dry it some more. And you notice I didn't tear it down to like little pins and stuff. No need for it with the way I'm cleaning it. The simple green gets in there real good, cleans everything out. Now that you have it like that, here's where you dry it. You can put these parts, with the exception of the buffer assembly here, you can put in the oven at 120 degrees for like, I don't know, 20 minutes. It'll come out dry. Wipe off your steel cookie sheet. Put your metal parts in there. Actually, I'll try to get as much heat down in there as possible, get it all dried off. People are going, oh my God, you used water. That's right. Ooh, that gets hot too. But all this is pretty much heat treated. Yeah. That's why I use the look down in there, see if you get the water out. Good thing to have. Another good thing to have is a flashlight. Get yourself a nice flashlight. Look down in there, make sure the water's out. Check it for wear and tear as well. Is that not green yet? Alright. Same with all this stuff. This is aluminum, so down in here where that pin's holding the locking mechanism in, make sure you get down in there good, make sure it's dry. This here is especially important down in here. Flashlight. Make sure you can see all the way through there too, make sure there's no obstructions. That's where the gas comes up through. Forces the bolt back. They do get warm, so careful with your fingers. Alright. Probably a good idea to get some gloves. As you heat it, the parts on the inside that you didn't tear down, they're going to dry too. Not to mention, I can hear one thing I don't like to heat up are these firing pins. Clean. Flashlight. Make sure it gets dry down in that hole. Okay, as far as the magazine, look down inside, unless you see visible dirt, I highly recommend you don't take it apart. Once a year maybe, if it gets dirty or wet, Other than that, wipe down the outside and call it good. Don't put oil on it. Don't put oil in it because it gets on the ammunition. Just wipe them off really good. Now you can use just a straight, simple green, just as good. Just let these cool, and they're still hot, or else the oil won't be at the proper viscosity. So we'll let these cool for a little bit. They're dry. They're ready to be oiled. I don't oil the buffer spring. And then I'm going to put it together, and I'll show you how to do a functions check. Now that we've let them cool to the touch, where we can pick them up, we're going to do the same thing with the oil. And as you can see, it's thicker than and I do it in a certain order. Get it on the parts. You get a little excess on there, take a paper towel and wipe it off. Down in here. How do you get it down in here? With this. Put it in there and work it. Firing pin. Again, this is a heat conditioner, even this piece. This takes a lot of wear and tear when you're charging it. This is aluminum. Make sure you get it down in here really well so that slides easy and your finger curls around it. Don't want too corrosion down in there. Inspect it, make sure there isn't any undue wear and tear. This is made of aluminum, so like I said, I don't oil the buffer system. You've got the retaining pin for the, and I don't heat that because that's basically aluminum, lightweight material very thin. Inspect it, make sure you got it totally oiled up. Spread it around, make sure it's spread down in the cracks and crevices. Wipe off any excess. Then you put the bolt together. Well, now that we have it together, now we're going to do a functions check. Make sure, one, we put it together right, two, no parts are damaged, and three, that it's going to operate properly when the time comes. Now I run my my functions check a little different. Most people don't put the magazine in, but I want to make sure that magazine lock. See, the empty magazine has a lock in the front here, where when it's empty, it's going to lock the bolt to the rear. I want to make sure that still works. So we'll insert a magazine in the charge throughout. Get locked. I'm going to drop the magazine, get the magazine release, bolt release. I'm going to place it on safe. Now we're just testing to make sure the safety works. Shouldn't fire. Place it on fire, squeeze the trigger, should fire. Hold the trigger. This is testing the sear, because it has a double sear. Now you're going to release it, and you should hear the sear reset. There you go, sear reset. This firearm is fully functional. And that's how you clean a firearm in just a few minutes with extra oil on it. Like I said, you get a little extra oil on, just give it a good wipe it off with some of that paper towel. For the lenses, I just use some, I have a lens cleaning kit that I use for my glasses. I just use that that cloth, clean the lenses, put the lens covers back on, and she's good to go. So that's how you clean a firearm. And the functions check works shotgun. Just check the safety, make sure it fires. They don't have a double sear, so you don't squeeze, you don't hold the trigger, charge it, let go. Just put it on safe, charge it, demonstrate. Then you clean your shotgun. These don't have a double trigger. They don't have a sear, double sear. So what you do: charge the shotgun, place it on safe, squeeze the trigger, shoot and fire. Take it off safe, shoot fire. It's that simple. Functions check for this. This is a semi-automatic shotgun. Make sure it's clear, of course. You're going to charge it. Release the bolt. Place it on safe. Pull the trigger, shoot and fire. Place it on fire. Squeeze the trigger, shoot fire. It doesn't have a double sear. Wood, you can use, furniture polish, or if it's original, like a German, let's say a German Mauser, they use a type of oil. You can use linseed oil to clean the wood. Try and keep the oil off it. Simple green will clean wood, and it's not harmful to the wood. Don't soak it down, but it'll get spots off. And that's how you clean a firearm and do a functions check. So, hope you enjoyed it.